Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Syrett.
On this episode of Conspiracy Unlimited, the mysteries of Stonehenge. This podcast is brought to you by BrightBiz. If you own a business or you've dreamed of starting one, there's a helpful free guide with 36 business power tools proven to boost sales, increase income, simplify your life, and give you better results with less effort. Best of all, this business toolbox is yours absolutely free. And these are useful online tools that make doing almost anything a lot easier. Just visit freebusinesstoolbox.com to grab your free copy. I know there are a lot of websites out there, they offer you a special deal on something, but then they stick you in some recurring program. Don't worry, this isn't like that. There's no hidden thing to try. BrightBiz is giving away this guide free of charge as a means of putting their best foot forward. But all good things must come to an end, so don't wait. Grab your free guide today. Visit freebusinesstoolbox.com. freebusinesstoolbox.com. That's freebusinesstoolbox.com. Hey, thanks for listening and welcome to episode 57 of Conspiracy Unlimited. I recently accepted an invitation to speak at a festival/conference called Ault-Con. This is an annual held about an hour from here in Holstein, Ontario, which is, from what I understand, a very rural location up on top of an escarpment. And it's billed as all things curious and all things occult. I'll be there presenting at Ault-Con on Saturday, July the 14th, 2018 at 1 p.m. in the lecture tent. And then I'll be taking part in an experts panel under the same lecture tent at 3 p.m. And it's held outdoors, as I say, under tents at Mythwood event grounds. And the property is supposed to be just beautiful, and attendees can camp over the weekend. You can find out more at occultacon.ca, occultacon.ca. But one of the things that I'm anxious to see there is a replica of Stonehenge. It's right there on the property. Not exactly a replica, but they have some very large stones arranged in a circle, so it's a stone circle. And people who go there and are inside the stone circle report feeling a very interesting energy. Of course, the most famous of all stone circles is on the Salisbury Plain in Great Britain, and it's Stonehenge, this prehistoric monument in Wiltshire, England, 2 miles west of Amesbury, and it consists of a ring of standing stones. Each standing stone is around 13 feet or 4 meters high, 7 feet wide, and they weigh around, on average, 25 tons. And archaeologists believe it was constructed somewhere between 3000 and 2000 BC. Stonehenge could have been a burial ground from its earliest beginnings. There are deposits containing human bone that date back to about 3000 BC when the ditch and bank were first dug. So let's delve into Stonehenge. Khaman Mythwood has been interested in the occult, sacred geometry, magic, myths, ancient history, and polytheistic religions. He continues to study to improve his medium, clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant, and empathic skills. With his wife Alyx, Khaman is also owner and operator of Mythwood Campground, a unique sacred space where history, polytheistic paths, and nature come together. He sits on the advisory chair. He's traveled to several sacred sites around the world, including Stonehenge, Mesa Verde, and all the way to the Sacred Volcanoes of Hawaii, which give him a rather unique perspective when creating rituals and ceremonies and connecting to the ancestors. Khaman Mythwood, welcome to Conspiracy Unlimited. How are you?
Good, great. Thanks, Richard. Really honored to be on the show, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let's first talk about Ault-Con. Tell the folks all about Ault-Con and where they can go to get tickets and what's happening and when and so forth.
Certainly. Ault-Con is a new convention that started last year, and this is our second year. You can get more information at Ault-Con at www.occultacon.ca. That's OCCULTICON.ca. And it's being held at Mythwood Campground, and that's a beautiful place out in the country that has shrines and all kinds of stuff for religious reasons. We accept all different types of people. Everyone's welcome at Mythwood. And Ault-Con seems to be the perfect fit for Mythwood. It's just a great venue for what's involved. What we do is we have a whole bunch of guest speakers and experts on the occult and the paranormal, and they all come and talk about whatever they're interested in that year. I usually let the presenters decide what they want to talk about this year, and if it's good, that means they're passionate and excited about that topic, and it gets for a lot more excitement.
So there'll be Wiccans, Druids, pagans. There'll be people talking about the left-hand path.
That's right.
Frater Arceus, who was on Conspiracy Unlimited recently, will also be there. You'll have...
That's right.
Yeah.
Frater's a great guy. Yeah, he really knows his stuff.
And this is happening July 13, 14, and 15. I'll be speaking there on the Saturday, which is July the 14th. And again, people can go to the website, occultacon.ca. This is up in Holstein, Ontario. Where is that?
It's about an hour and a half north of Toronto. Depends on where you're coming from exactly. If you just head basically north on Highway 10, which a lot of people are familiar with, you get to a little town called Dundalk, and you hang a left, and we're about 20 minutes down the road from there. It's in the middle of nowhere, and we boast that we have one of the highest campground sites in all of Ontario.
So Mythwood is located on sort of on a plateau on the top of an escarpment. Is that the idea?
That's right. Ontario's built up in a layer of hills, and as the further north you go, it just keeps going up in these little levels. And when you get to the top, you're near Dundalk, and like I said, we're not far from there. There's one place down the road that's a little bit higher than us. We're about 475 meters above sea level, or above Toronto, actually.
So when people come to Occultacon, they're actually going to camp out there as well, right?
That's right. We're fully serviced sites. There's at least 60 of them, plus another couple hundred camping sites, full amenities. We've got everything from full outdoor showers, proper flushing toilets. We've got ponds and lakes. We've got shrines all over the place. We have a stone circle that we built there, as well as another. It's actually based off of Stonehenge. All the measurements and everything are the same. And we've also got a sea henge there, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with the archaeologist Francis Pryor.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he was part of the Time Team show that was in England. It was on for a good 20-plus years. They found this site on the edge of England, pardon me. It was just on the edge of the sea, and it's basically a wooden structure with a tree that has been put upside down, this huge root structure. It comes up out of the ground, and basically a wood palisade that goes around it. And it's a huge mystery as to what its purpose was, but a lot of Druids had come to the area to protest them actually digging the thing up. And they came to some agreements and finally went ahead with the dig. But it's basically, we think the use is for underground use, like the underworld, rather. So it's like as above, so below.
Right.
They're representing the below half. So it's quite fascinating, but that's just one theory on it. Other people think it may have been some sort of fishing thing where they would catch the fish coming in on the tide, and they would get stuck inside this little palisade and stuck in the tree roots and such. But it's quite a fascinating spot. When we rebuilt it, we had no idea how much power and resonance that the structure has when you go inside it. It's just absolutely magical.
Well, what happens when you go inside it? And can you measure this energy as well?
I'm sure there's some tools you could use to measure it. When you walk inside, it's just this feeling of awe and wonderment of it's the energy change from when you step inside and to when you step outside is very clear. It's like when you step into a room and you just get that different feeling about that room. Well, this has that in droves. So,
well, tell me about your replica of Stonehenge. Because, I mean, this, and we'll talk about Stonehenge, but, I mean, some of the heaviest stones, we're talking about Sarsen sandstone, and some of these stones weighed something like 50 tons.
That's right.
How does your Stonehenge up on Mythwood event grounds, how does it compare, and what's it look like?
Well, first of all, it's not exactly a replica of Stonehenge. Like, we don't have the large stones with lentils on top, etc. What we have is we went out and found the biggest stones we could find in the area, and with a lot of people and a lot of machines and a lot of know-how. It took me a couple of years to build it. First, I had to get the alignments of the solstice and so forth. Everything is based off of that, and the outer circle is the same size as the great part of the henge, the great lentils that go on the very outside of Stonehenge. Very few of those stones are left today at the original Stonehenge site. But our site is, like I said, the exact same size, and basically for every stone we have, it's like standing in the middle of the little archways that are created. It'd be about every other one that goes around, and it's based off of kingstone that is set right out to the north. And I was watching a very interesting episode on experimental archaeology, and I did a test, and what the test is that you take a rope that's 135 feet long, and you stretch it from the kingstone to the center of the circle that you're going to build. And then what you do is you fold that rope in half, and that gives you half of the diameter. So once you've done that, then you fold it in half again, and it gives you the distance between the main stones. And finally, you fold it in half one more time. It will give you the size of the altar table or stones that are in the middle. And this was discovered years ago by an experimental archaeologist who reconstructed or back-constructed the Nine Sisters stone circle in England. And it was quite revolutionary when they discovered that you could do it this way. And then they found out that it matches a whole bunch of other stone circles all throughout England.
Yeah, there are thousands of them. That's the thing about Stonehenge. It's certainly not unique.
No, not at all. But you're right. The Sarsen stones are, one of them weighs up to 40 tons. And that's a big stone. And it's recently been discovered by Mike Pitts, who is another English archaeologist. He discovered that two of the stones on the site were actually already there, and this has just come out like a couple weeks ago. So what it means is that based on where these stones were, they were already naturally standing from the glaciers that came down from the north, 10, 20,000 years ago, whatever that was, 40,000, I think. They left these stones standing there, and that's why they chose that spot, is what they believe. Because the big mystery has always been, why there?
Right, why on the Salisbury Plain? Yeah,
it's just this sort of open area, and why not on top of that hill or over there in the valley? It was just because they discovered this stone a couple of weeks ago. Very fascinating.
And then the rest of the sandstone supposedly was transported from a quarry some 18, 20 miles away. How do you suppose they were able to move those huge stones?
Oh, that's a good question. There's a few different theories. It was about 20 to 30 kilometers away where they got some of the Sarsen stones. It's believed that they got a couple of them from actually on the site. We're near, a little closer. But what they believe they did was they put them on logs and rolled and dragged them through, and sometimes actually rolled them on their sides. And if you put a little tiny stone underneath the center of it, you can balance the entire stone and actually walk it as well. That's another way to do it. Just like they discovered at Easter Island that they think they actually walked the stones into place. Well, it's possible that they use the same technique. But the exciting part is actually the blue stones that are at Stonehenge. They came from about 150 miles away, and from a place called Carn Menin. And these stones were, they believe, transported about 3 kilometers down to the waterway and put on rafts, brought all the way down to the bottom corner of England, and the shortest route from the ocean up, or they brought it through the river. Either way, they don't know for sure which way they went, but that is definitely a very interesting part about it, because the blue stones are known as healing stones, and people have been pilgrimaging to that site for hundreds of years, just because they believe these healing stones, they work. And what's interesting about the stones, I just learned recently, is they're actually about 2 degrees warmer than the sarsen stones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned, what I wanted to mention was the way that the alignment, and is it to the summer solstice sunrise that it's aligned?
Great question. Yes and no. There's some that believe there are 2 stones that are set outside of the henge, but right now there's only 1 stone. And everyone thought that the sun was supposed to come up and line up with this 1 stone.
The heel stone, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is the heel stone. And the sun comes up, and it's supposed to set right above this stone. Well, they discovered a few years back, while putting in a phone line, that there's actually another hole next to it, and there's a pair of stones, and the sun's supposed to come up between the 2.
Ah.
Right. So for the perfect alignment. But just on the 1 stone, I mean, really all you got to do is step over to the right or left a little bit and line it up.
But it still, it still is the summer solstice sunrise, correct?
Well, a lot of Druids and spiritualists still go for the summer solstice. It's quite a big deal. But what's believed is that are you familiar with Michael Parker Pearson?
No.
Yeah, he's a famous British archaeologist who discovered while excavating Stonehenge that not only is there a temporary village next to Stonehenge, a ton of places there is a pathway that runs from Stonehenge all the way down to the river Avon. So if you take that path and then follow along Avon, you will eventually come up to another road that leads you directly to Durrington, or Woodhenge, they call it. And what it's believed is that they would actually start at, for the winter solstice, they would start a gathering at the Woodhenge and have a feast sort of thing, and then they would progress down the trail, follow the river Avon all the way to the processional road towards Stonehenge, and then just as the winter sun was setting, they would arrive. And it was this magical moment, and it was believed that the wood from Woodhenge represents the living, and that the stone at Stonehenge would represent the dead or the ancestors.
Interesting. Now, the Druids have always sort of laid claim to this site, but my understanding is that Stonehenge was completed at least 1,000 years before the Druids even came to power. So, who built it?
Well, it turns out Michael Parker Pearson found the village of the people who built it, and it is just off to the side of the Stonehenge, and it's noted that it's a temporary living space. So because they found these huge places where they would dump all their refuse, and it looked like it was just these huge parties and celebrations that they were having there. And then they went down the road to Woodhenge and discovered another site of buildings and homes that were more permanent. So it's believed that in the summer, over a period of about 35 years, is what they think it took to build it. It was actually built in a whole bunch of different stages. First, they put in the giant ditch that goes around it. Then they put in a big series of blue stones. There's 56 of them, and they're known today, the placement is known today as the Aubrey holes, and Aubrey is the name of the guy who discovered them. But what happened was they then went in and built the rest of the henge on the inside that you would know to see Stonehenge today. That's the part I'm talking about. And they took these 56 stones and put them inside the new structure. And this all happened in about a 35-year period, but the stages themselves took hundreds of years before they changed it. And that was around 1800 or 1900 BC when people were actually using the site on a regular basis.
Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Syrett.
Khaman Mythwood is here from Ault-Con, and we're talking about Stonehenge and Druids and pagan rituals. I'd heard originally that these henges, let's call them, because as you say, they're all over England, that their original purpose, I mean, later they became more affiliated for religious rituals, but originally they were like stock enclosures for cattle.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I don't know how much truth there is to it, because I've been there. I've been to all of, not all of them, because there's a lot, but I've been to many of the sites out there. And even today, they will just leave the sheep and the horses and everything just to walk around as they would. Just no fencing, no nothing. And they just walk around, and whenever they want to go get one to cull it, they would just go out and get it and bring it back. So they didn't actually seem to enclose them off as much unless they were a little closer to like a tribe's main farm area or something. That's where they would actually fence them off. And sometimes they would use a series of stones and wood to clear it off, some wattle and daub to keep the animals in. But I find the stones in most of the stone circles are way too far apart to actually keep them in.
Right. So not built by the Druids, but what were the Druids using Stonehenge and the other henges for?
Well, I believe it was for more of a spiritual reason. There's several stones that are standing. For example, the stone in Tara Hill. There's just one stone there that it's called the King Stone. And they would go, and that's the stone where anybody that was going to be the new king would go there, and they would allow them to progress into their kingdom.
Also, it was used as a place of healing because they're finding all of these graves, and I guess they do some sort of forensic testing, and they were able to determine that the people that are buried around these henges, I mean, they suffered from some serious diseases. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, could you imagine living back then? There was some serious diseases going on and not a lot of doctors.
Right.
You couldn't just go into the hospital and say, fix my broken arm. You were stuck with that arm, and if you were lucky, one of the healers or the druids or the local witch or whoever was doing the healing at that time would try and reset it for you and maybe tie a couple of sticks around your arm so you don't move it and hope for the best. I mean, that was about it. You know, go home, get lots of sleep, have an apple, call me in the morning.
You have modern day druids who attend Ault-Con. What can you tell me about the druid religion? What do you know about it?
There's quite a bit. I myself am a member of OBOD, which is the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. We're an organization of neo-druidics. Its home base is in England. There's members all over the world. It was founded in 1964 by Ross Nicholas, who was a former member of the ancient Order of Druids, I believe they're called. And Ross Nicholas and Philip Cargom started this tradition. And there's all different spots. Like, for example, if you're a bard, you're at the initiate level, and they're the ones that tell the tales and sing the songs and do poetry and art. Then you have the Ovates, who are more of like the prophet, healer, diviner types. And then finally the Druids, who are more of the philosophers, teachers, counselors, magicians. Like Druid means strong oak or forest sage, and it's a very earth and nature-bound type religion and way of life. We're actually going to be hosting an OBOD event at Mythwood this year called the OBOD Great Lakes Gathering, and that's on the August long weekend. It's quite a neat gathering. It's never happened before, but we do have heard a rumor that Philip Cargom will be coming next year to join the celebration. I'd say the true founder of Druidism, though, is probably William Stuckley. He was born November 7th, 1687. He was the pioneer of the whole... He actually pioneered the first investigation that they know of into Stonehenge and Avebury. And that's... We believe that maybe... He was the one that started the entire order of the Druids, and it became a tradition, and eventually was known as the First Order. And this went on for years, and they still exist now.
So, what do Druids believe? Is it a pantheistic religion? Do they believe in an unseen world? Do they believe in an immortal soul? What do they believe?
Well, first they believe that everything has magic. Every rock, every tree, every person, everything is sacred, and that you have to respect those things in the world and just become a part of it. And that's when you can start to do what's called entrainment or mindfulness. Where you are very aware of everything that is around you at all times, and that's when magic happens, because you become a part of it, and you start to understand that everybody and everything is all synchronized together in this one big pot. So.
And what about, do they believe in an unseen world, for example? Do they believe in a spirit world and an afterlife?
That's right, they do. There's a place we call the Summerland, and it's a Celtic term. Basically means our version of heaven. So it collates with the as above, so below. So it's believed that it's a very similar world above that we transition to, or as we become more enlightened and so on, we have the opportunity to go there and continue on the next phase of life. And
is there a close connection between Druidism and the Wiccan Church?
Actually, there's some similarities, because at the time, I mean, they're all neo-religions, right? So at the time when it was being created, Ross Nichols was actually working with Gardner, who helped to create the Wiccan religion, and they have some similarities between them. For example, calling the quarters, or respecting all the cardinal points and things like that. But once you get a little bit out of the actual ritual structure, they're completely different things.
And how about within the Druid religion? There's ceremonial magic, I'm guessing, but is there like practical magic? Do you believe that you can, or is it possible to manifest things? Is it possible to alter reality? Are there spell casting? Is there spell casting going on?
I find spellcasting seems to be more of a Wiccan side of things. The Druids, I'm sure, do a lot of their own spellcasting, but it's more of like folk magic, things that are a little more based on nature, as opposed to putting together an entire spell that's got all the right things in the right place, and you've used all the right tools and done all the right timings and everything in order to manifest this energy. It kind of falls under the principle of mentalism from the Hermetic laws. It's all about your state of mind and what you believe and how you believe it. It doesn't really matter which religion you're with. As long as you have that faith and that belief, you can manifest all these magic things. For example, I can think of one time, Aleister Crowley. He was walking down the street with a gentleman, and as they were walking down, the one guy said, "Hey, show me some magic. Show me what's going on here." And it's like, "Oh, okay." So what he did was he said, "Watch this." And there was a guy up ahead, and he started mimicking his movements, his walking movements. And he did that for a little bit of time, and all of a sudden, Crowley fell down to the ground, and right after that, the guy in front of them fell down as well.
Wow.
So little things like this, are sort of the basis of magic. It's sort of, a lot of mind over matter, mind power, mindfulness, just being one with everything, really, like the Buddha pizza.
The Buddha pizza.
Yeah, one with everything.
Give us a sense of who is going to be speaking and appearing at Ault-Con this year.
Oh, well, first we do have Frater Arceus, and he is leader of the OTA, or the Magister of the OTA. He really knows his stuff. And he's back this year by popular demand because he was so good last year. There's a whole bunch of people said, "Can we get him back?" And I said, "I'll try." And lucky for us, he's coming back again. We have Jenna Tellendrew is going to be coming. She is the leader and founder of the Sisters of Avalon, and they do a lot of tours and stuff in the British Islands and Ireland, and they do like a Mystic Seekers tour sort of thing, and that's been going on for quite some time. And they have one of their sects is based out of London, Ontario, actually. We've also got a herbalist, a Druid named David Turner. We have a seance practitioner, Tamara Zappa. We have an astrologer, amazing guy, Franco Soulbody. We have a hypnotist named Phil Naylor. We also have Tiffany Lazick, who's going to be talking about psychotherapy and alchemy. And we even have a paranormal investigator all the way from Saskatchewan, and he's going to be talking about his TV show out there called Past. And we have an Egyptologist named Daniel Kolos, and Richard and Tamara James of the Wiccan Church of Canada. And also coming all the way from Whitehorse, we have a filmmaker named Jessica Hall, and she's made a film on the left-hand path, and she's going to be premiering it in Ontario for the first time at Ault-Con.
What does the left-hand path mean?
Left-hand path is... it's not something I'm super familiar with because it's not my tradition, but it's basically a little more self-centered as far as magic is concerned. It's about getting things done for yourself before others. It's like putting yourself first.
Right.
Right.
All right.
Whereas the right-hand path, of course, would incorporate everybody, and it's all one big happy family. But the left-hand path has a slight advantage to not being tied down with all of the work that comes with trying to keep everyone fed and this and that, and Johnny's late, so we can't start ritual, all those sort of things. They tie you down a little bit. So myself, I'm more of a middle path.
So the left-hand path, I guess, it's like when you're on the when you're on the plane and the oxygen masks come down. You're supposed to put the mask on yourself first. So
that's right. Exactly.
That's the left-hand path, folks.
Yeah, me first. But it's quite fascinating what I do know of it. And Helene M. Arts will be talking about the left-hand path at the Oult-Con on Friday night, and she really knows her stuff. She's been into it for over 20 years, and she's really a fascinating and interesting speaker. So she's not to be missed.
Any ceremonies taking place within the stone circle?
Yeah, we do. We're actually, I've just recruited Freda Arceus and Tamara and Richard James from the WCC. Will be doing a secret high magic ceremony in the stone circle on the midnight of the Saturday. So it's very exciting. I can't give you any more details because there's a lot of secrets being kept, but I will be hopefully finding out what those are soon, but I don't know them yet. But all I do know is the rituals that I've seen them do before are amazing. And they really pull in a lot of energy and power, and it's really something not to be missed. It's super exciting.
Any ley lines that run through?
Actually, yes, there is. I actually discovered it's either a ley line or an underground river. I'm not 100% sure, but I went around and I found all the special spots with my dowsing rods, and it turns out we've got a ley line going right through the stone circle, and that's why we built it there.
Amazing. Yeah. So again, July 13th, 14th, and 15th, Oult-Con 2018 at the Mythwood event grounds, and that's in Holstein, Ontario, which is about an hour from Toronto up Highway 10, which is, I guess, sort of like north of Mississauga, right?
That's right.
And again, people can go on to the website, occultacon.ca. I guess, how does it work? You can buy a one-day pass, or you can do the whole weekend with your camping and everything? That's right. We have tickets where you can stay for the whole weekend, which is highly recommended because it's set up in a way that it's like a journey that you go through from beginning to end. And we also do have day passes for those that obviously can't make it for the whole weekend or aren't able to camp for some reason, and so on. And roughly how many people do you expect? Last year we had about 200 people, and that was double what we were expecting. And this year we expect it to probably grow to about 300 or 400 people. Wow, fantastic. And is it tent camping only? Mostly. We do have a lot of sites that are hooked up and ready to go, full service for trailers and so on. There's probably about 60 sites for trailers and probably about 200 spaces for tent camping. Excellent. Again, occultacon.ca, July 13th, 14th, 15th. I'll be there on the 14th, the Saturday. What time am I on? You're on at 1 o'clock. Okay. And to do your little lecture. And then at 3 o'clock on the experts panel. So you'll be sitting with Frater Arceus and Helene M. Arts, Tamara James, and a few others. And they're all high experts in what they do. And basically it's like a convention panel where you have the experts sit around and at the table with microphones in front of the audience in the big tent, and people ask questions and conversations get going. It's kind of like a round table, and it's
really and exciting, amazing things. It's quite entertaining as well.
Well, methinks I'll be deferring to the other experts on the panel. I'm an expert at running my mouth. That's about it. Well,
yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I'm not really an expert on anything either. I'm sort of a jack of all trades, if you will. I'm, like I said, more like you. I'm the guy that brings all the people in and organizes everything and gets them all set up, and so everyone else can come and learn. And I was just one day sitting going, I want to learn all this stuff, but I got to go here and I got to go there, and next thing you know it, I thought, well, why don't I bring them to me?
Brilliant idea. So what did you do? This is your property. What did you do with it before? Was it a farm?
Actually, it was a campground before, but it was in quite a mess. And we came in, we removed over 30 metric tons of garbage and waste, and cleaned the entire property up and rebuilt it. And now it's beautiful. There's all kinds of things to do and see. We're the perfect setting for group gatherings from covens, pagans, weddings, family reunions, business picnics, and LARPers. We're perfectly set up for as well.
What are LARPers?
That's live action role playing.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's quite a popular thing around Toronto and all over the U.S. actually. There's quite a bit in Europe as well. And like I said, we've got over 60 full sites, service with power and water, hot showers, plenty of cabins to rent in the off season. During the festivals, they generally cabins will generally be taken up by the presenters and guest speakers that stay for the weekend. But we can sleep over 50 people just in the cabins alone. We also have a big wooden castle stage that's built for lectures and live bands, and 5 kilometers worth of walking trails. We've got a swimming pond and a small lake, and we've got a sword in the stone and all kinds of little things to walk around and see. But Mythwood's usually by appointment only. You have to send us an email and book an appointment. You can do that at Mythwood Campground at gmail.com. Quickly, MythwoodCampground at gmail.com. And you can check out the site as well. It's at mythwood.ca, and that'll give you directions as well to Ault-Con, and it'll give you an idea of sort of what you're going to be encountering when you arrive.
Well, thanks for inviting me, and I look forward to meeting you, and to all my listeners, come on out. Again, it's Ault-Con 2018. You can register Ault-Con.ca, and it's July 13th, 14th, and 15th. Khaman, great to meet you, and thanks so much for this.
Thank you, Richard. It's a total honor to have you coming to Ault-Con. I really look forward to meeting you in person.
Likewise. Thank you. Well, it's about time to dim the lights in my little studio beneath the stairs. But before that, I'm going to tell you about what's happening on the next episode of Conspiracy Unlimited. Before that, I must tell you about this remarkable woman I've been reading about and hearing about, Adrienne Ferricelli. She's a professional certified dog trainer, and she can help you dog owners develop your dog's hidden intelligence and thus eliminate bad behavior and create the obedient, well-behaved pet of your dreams. Adrienne has helped hundreds of dog owners train their dogs to be well-behaved, obedient, loving pets. By bringing out this hidden intelligence that exists inside all dogs, you can quickly eliminate any behavioral problems your dog has, no matter how badly you think it's ingrained, no matter what kind of dog you have. The science behind this is simple. You may have heard of neuroplasticity in the human brain. This allows our brains to learn new behaviors. Well, your dog's brain has the same neuroplasticity. With the right mental stimulation that Adrienne teaches, any dog's brain will become more open and receptive to learning new information. Your dog will listen to you and understand what you want it to do. When this happens, bad behaviors simply fade away as more desirable ones appear in their place. So, if you want to check out this remarkable dog training system, just visit realbusinessbargains.com. That's realbusinessbargains.com. realbusinessbargains.com. Hey, don't forget to be listening this Friday and your chance to win a copy of my Strange Planet CD. That is, assuming you entered. And how do you do that, you ask? Well, it's real simple. Just rate and review this podcast, grab a screenshot of that, and then email it to me at richardsyrett1@gmail.com. richardsyrett1@gmail.com. Don't forget to include your complete name and mailing address, and then your name goes into the draw. Good luck. Coming up next on Conspiracy Unlimited, paranormal researcher Joshua P. Warren. He's back from hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico with some amazing paranormal tales. Until next time, I'm Richard Syrett. So long for now.
A new Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Syrett drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at conspiracyunlimitedpodcast.com. Blow your mind. That is all for now. Oh, and remember to share and give a 5-star review because we have huge egos and need love. We're like cats. We need constant petting.